In our previous session, we were learning about the 9800 HA and we were discussing on like how to build the HA and we were doing the lab as well. And we had configured the HA through GUI, but it didn't go well. So we were supposed to do it through the CLI commands. That's the workaround that I've got in the lab. But in the real time, like you can configure the way you want. It is not like hard coded as in the 3504. You can, if you are using the ESXi, so then you can use the RP port or the redundancy port as per your convenience. Unfortunately, today the ESXi server is down for some reason. So that is why I will just go to the next topic. I will park this 9800 HA for now as I'm not able to access the ESXi from morning. So I will park this 9800 for today and we'll move to the next topic, that is FlexConnect. Okay, FlexConnect we will discuss. Once we discuss the FlexConnect, so next I am going to discuss the 3504. So I will show you the lab for the FlexConnect in the 3504. I will just show you the lab. Okay, how to do that. And while doing this, I will also discuss few configuration that I was supposed to discuss in 3504. So in the 3504, how the configuration works is we create a WLAN and then we assign an interface to that WLAN. And this interface has two things. That is, one is a VLAN we define. The second one is the physical port. So this is the flow for the 3504, correct? We got a WLAN that is going to broadcast the SSID. Then that is tied to a logical interface. Then that is a logical interface. You will put VLAN and physical port. Okay, so this we will check out. But before going to this stage, let's explore the concept of FlexConnect. So what exactly the FlexConnect is? Okay, let me share my yeah, 3504 HA also I will cover. Yes. So there's a question in chat like 3504 HA. Yes, we will cover 3504 HA and 9800 HA. So as you know, like I am touching all the concepts and not leaving any concept. So we will cover everything and then we will move on. Just in case if anything plus minus happens, like I I didn't explain anything, or else I forgot or missed it. So you can I'm happy to take that feedback and I will explain you. Okay. So we got a concept called as FlexConnect. So we are shifting our focus from HA, that is high availability concept. Okay. The thing what I want to tell you with the high availability concept or any other concept is try to brainstorm as much as possible in the class. You can ask as many questions as possible. So then I can explain it better. And also I might not be able to explain each and every concept that is present in HA. But when you ask questions, when you do cross questioning, so I will be able to explain it more. Okay. So that is the one thing that I want to tell. So we will park HA as the ESXi, right? I'm not able to access it from the morning. I have reached out to the IT admin team. So they would be making it up, I guess. So if it comes up today, so I will explain that tomorrow, HA concept. But we can park that concept for now and go to the FlexConnect concept. Okay, this was the next concept in the list. So what is a FlexConnect? By this time, we know the concept that when we have got a 3504 or a 9800 WLC, okay, 3504 or the latest 9800 L, right? That's the replacement for the 3504 appliance model. So whenever we configure a AP, okay, you configure AP and you lightweight access point, you add it to the WLC, and this lightweight access point lightweight access point by default works in what mode? So any guesses from the previous class? Do you remember? Yeah, local mode. By default, this lightweight access point works in a local mode. So what is a mode? So mode is nothing but what is the role of the access point, whether it is serving clients or whether it is for the network management. So these are the two things that the lightweight access point can do. Either it can serve the clients or else it can do the monitoring, sniffing, or packet capture. It is dedicatedly used for that. And also, if you remember in the previous session, I explained you what is on-channel scanning and off-channel scanning overview I had given. So whether on the channel or off the channel, it will detect for the rogue devices and all those things will happen. So that is the network management or the Wi-Fi management it will do. Now, when the access point comes and register to the WLC, so by default, it will be in the local mode. All right. It will be in the local mode. But today we are here to discuss FlexConnect. So what happens in the local mode? So when the client comes and registers to the SSID that is broadcasted by the access point radios, right? So we got 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz radio or the dual band radio. So radios, if you see in the access point, if you go in the monitoring page or in the status of the access point, you can see slot 0, slot 1. So like this, it will be there. So slot 0 has a radio that is 2.4 gigahertz. And it can be, if it is a dual band, the slot 0 can be used for 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, you can use it. And also I have shown this in the picture also in some time before, like the inside picture of the access point. There are two slots has got slot 0, slot 1 that is having the radios. So that is what the radios are going to, emit the radiation and it is going to broadcast the SSIDs, right? So that SSID is catched by this um, client. It is going to get authenticated. Then it is going to get connected to the access point or the WLC. So there are two traffics that are there. That is the control traffic and the data traffic. We know this, right? So there is a CAPAP tunnel. That's a layer 3 tunnel between the access point and the WLC. Control traffic will carry all the control things like the messages related to the access point. So those all things, the protocol related traffic, right? And also the traffic related to the communication between the access point and the WLC. But the data traffic is actually exactly the traffic that is the client wants to send the data, suppose a file, some media. So he is going to send it through this data tunnel, that is a CAPAP tunnel. So CAPAP tunnel, like two tunnels will be found, one for the control and one for the data traffic. And the traffic is put onto that CAPAP tunnels. Okay, whenever it is going from the access point to the WLC, and it's a layer 3 tunnel as we know already. We discussed what is a CAPAP and all. So I'm not going back there. So our agenda is to understand what is a FlexConnect mode. Now this access point is registered to the WLC and it is working in the local mode by default. It is putting all the traffic onto the CAPAP tunnels. But what if the WLC loses connection or the access point loses connection with the WLC? So the clients then the clients will lose connection because it loses the brain of the WLAN architecture. So the brain of the WLAN architecture is the WLC, right? And the WLC, the access point loses connection with the WLC. So what happens in this scenario? There is a outage in the SSID. Okay, that means it loses connection. So to avoid this, we came up with a concept called as FlexConnect. Okay, we came up with a concept called as FlexConnect. So what exactly the FlexConnect do? The main function of the FlexConnect. So when the access point loses the connectivity with the WLC, the access point itself will be able to operate without the need of the WLC. So what is it going to lose? So obviously the mobility management, so all those the RRM thing, so that will not happen because the brain is down, right? Only the access point at that particular situation. So it is going to serve the client, switch the traffic, that is the data traffic. Okay, so let me just take a whiteboard and explain. To better explain it, now we got the access point here. Then we have our WLC and there is a cap tunnel. So whatever the traffic, suppose the client is sending a file through the air, the access point is going to bridge between the WLAN and the LAN network, or else the WLC is going to bridge that to the LAN network, right? So that is when the data traffic is put onto the CapWAP. Okay, the data traffic is put onto the CapWAP, and then the data, suppose say data one, the name of the data chunk that is going is data one. So data one is put onto the CapWAP tunnel, and then the WLC processes it. Then it will do the WLAN to VLAN mapping, and then it is the data one is put onto the onto this link, and then it will go to the wired network. So wireless to wire bridging will happen here. So this is what happens in the local mode. Okay, local mode. Now when the access point loses connection with the WLC, so this will be cut down. So there will be the SSID outage also will happen, and obviously if SSID outage is there, no data is going to go. So to avoid this situation, so they came up with a concept that is called as FlexConnect. Okay, FlexConnect. So what does this FlexConnect do? So when the WLC goes down, but still the access point is able to work. Okay, access point is able to do things. The access point can do the WLAN to VLAN mapping, it can do on its own. When you configure the access point from the local mode to the FlexConnect mode, so what happens is, so what exactly happens is the AP will boot up and then it will download a fresh configuration from the WLC. So when it loads the configuration from the WLC, so now the WLC is going to give that intelligence to the access point here, saying that, hey, if I go down, use this WLAN to VLAN. So not only go down, but when it is operational also, the WLAN to VLAN mapping will happen, and then the data traffic will be going out through the access point itself. Okay, so I'm writing these three dots to indicate the data traffic. So in the local mode, it is going like this, but in the FlexConnect mode, the data traffic would be going like this. So I am discussing about the data traffic over here. So what happens to the control traffic in the FlexConnect mode? So in the FlexConnect mode, the control traffic will still be on still be going to the WLC. Okay, the control traffic will still be going to the WLC. If you remember the CapApp discussion that we had previously, So what is the control traffic that would be having? The QoS policies, the authentication, right? Security, all those things are the control traffic, right? Security enforcement, all these things will happen on the WLC, but those things will be lost. And only the data traffic, data switching will be happening from the client to the wired network directly through the access point. Okay. So when the WLC goes down, so obviously the access point has the intelligence for the WLAN to VLAN mapping. So it is going to send the traffic to the wired network directly. So if it goes down also, there is no issue with the there is no issue with the there is no issue with the data traffic that is already being traveled. So with this analogy, let's make some conclusions here. So Flex Connect is of two types. Okay, before to Flex Connect, we got two things, that is modes, right? We got local mode and Flex Connect mode. We know what is local mode and Flex Connect mode by this time. So in the Flex Connect, we got two things, that is local switching. The second one is the central switching. The local switching and the central switching. So in the local switching, the data traffic is switched as I have explained here. In the central switching, the data traffic will switch as I have explained here. Okay, so this is the central switching path. This is the local switching path. Okay, central switching and local switching. Then you might say, what is the difference between the central switching and the local mode, right? Because in the local mode also the data traffic is logged onto the data cap tunnel, right? And here also in the central switching also it is working. So so my answer to that would be like the local mode, what happens is um, you will not get the functionality if the WLC goes down, right? So the SSID outage will happen. But if you enable the Flex Connect, so that thing will not happen. Okay. And also there are ways you can send the traffic once this goes down. So the traffic will still be going through the access point. Okay. You can design that way. So that's why central switching is better than comparing to the local mode. Okay, normal local mode. So what is Flex Connect? The main feature, the Flex Connect is when the WLC goes down, but still you don't have the SSID outage, and also still the data traffic will be intact. Flex Connect mode has two types, local switching, central switching. Local switching, the data traffic is switched locally. Central switching, the data traffic is switched centrally. In both the cases, control traffic is sent to the WLC. Okay, so that is what the Flex Connect mode is in simple terms. Let's look into some theory now and understand few concepts. Stop sharing this for me. Let's switch to the PPT. Look at few theory items here. In local mode, the AP communicates directly with the WLC for all control and data plane functions. Both control traffic such as management, configuration, software updates, and data traffic, that is user traffic, are sent to the WLC. Okay. It relies on WLC for centralized management, so the AP's functionality is entirely dependent on the connection to the WLC. If the WLC goes down or the AP loses its connection to the WLC, the AP may lose functionality. Where on the other hand, the Flex Connect mode allows an AP to operate in a more flexible manner by locally handling client data traffic and still maintaining a connection to the WLC for control traffic. Control traffic is management, configuration. This is the control traffic. Then user traffic is the data traffic. It can be switched locally between the AP and the clients without needing to send it back to the WLC. And obviously the use case is a headquarters site you have, brand site you have, and the WAN link. WAN has very less bandwidth. So earlier there used to be less bandwidth, but nowadays we on the WAN links also we have got better bandwidth. And yeah, so you need to think of the round trip time, all those things. Okay. In remote offices or locations with poor WAN links to the WLC, FlexConnect allows for local switching, meaning user data traffic is kept local and does not need to traverse the WAN link. So, summary, local mode is ideal for environments where it is reliable and high bandwidth connectivity to the WLC. Okay, so it all depends on whether you have got a better bandwidth. If you have got a better bandwidth, then local mode is good. If you don't have the proper bandwidth, then you can use FlexConnect. So bandwidth between the WLC and the access point. So here you can see one of the examples that is there. So you can see the FlexConnect access points here, and then a controller in the headquarter side. This is through the WAN link, and DHCP server also locally is present, that is going to fetch the IP address. So for this functionality, for getting the IP address, it is not going to go all over the WAN and then go to the controller, but it is locally, you can define the DHCP server. Okay, this is also one benefit that you will be having in the Flex Connect mode. Okay, if you do that in the local mode, that is not possible, right? So that is what the difference. And the controller is in the central office. Local mode sent to WLC, control traffic can be locally switched. Okay. Dependency on the WLC, fully dependent on WLC for functionality, even for the DHCP server, all those kind of things. Centralized management, report or branch offices, functionality without WLC. AP loses functionality with the WLC connection. AP can continue to function with some local features. Bandwidth utilization, all traffic traverses the network. Local switching reduces the WAN bandwidth usage. So here one more example. So you can see the controller in the headquarter office, and then in the branch site, you got the access points, see the control channel. So control traffic still going to the WLC, whereas the data traffic, it is switching locally, that is indicated in green color here. In FlexConnect mode, local switching and central switching refer to how client data traffic is handled by the access point. In local switching, the AP locally switch client data traffic to the appropriate network or VLAN without sending the traffic back to the WLC. So this one we know. So used in remote offices or branch offices. Central switching, the client data traffic is forwarded to the WLC and the WLC is responsible for forwarding the data traffic to the correct destination. Okay. The data traffic is switched from the WLC. The data traffic is sent back to the WLC for switching. The AP communicates with the WLC for both control and data traffic. Okay. Difference between local switching and central switching. Higher bandwidth. So you can see the local switching, data traffic is switched locally by the AP, reduces WAN bandwidth usage. AP operates independently for data traffic. Remote branch offices with limited WAN bandwidth continues to function with locally switched data. Here you can see higher WAN bandwidth usage in the central switching. Backhaul to WLC. Allows AP to handle data locally, reducing the reliance on the WLC and WAN bandwidth. So this is one example you can see. And this is the branch site, and here you got two branch sites, and the control traffic is in pink color. So you can see it is going all over to the WLC in the headquarters site. Whereas the data traffic in the central switching, you can see it is going to the WLC, and from there it will bridge to the wired network. And also you can do like this, where few traffic, suppose a few traffic, you can make it as central switching, like few VLAN, suppose VLAN 10 is there. So that particular traffic or the WLAN ID 10 is there. So that particular traffic, you want to make it as central switching, you can do it. For WLAN 20, you want to make the traffic locally switch from the access point, that is also possible. Okay. For the use case would be like you want to send the traffic to the headquarter, so then you can make it as a central switching. That particular traffic, the traffic that you want to send to the within the branch, so then that you can make it as a local switching. So that kind of arrangement you can do. Okay. So that's about the Flex Connect. It is pretty straightforward, but you might confuse it when you are doing the when you're doing by yourself. So there will be some confusions, but yeah. Just 1 minute. Oh, sorry, I'm back. So there is 2, 3 questions, I guess, in the chat. If WLC down in the central switching, so how WLAN will work as data traffic is tunneled towards the WLC? So in the central switching, the data traffic will not work. Okay. Um, because the data traffic is going to the WLC, right? So it will not work. Why can't we use FlexConnect in local premises as AP switching locally? We use FlexConnect in local premises. Uh, so the FlexConnect, what we are using, right? So that is the access point itself will send the traffic to the, it will bridge the traffic to the wired network. Okay. Whereas in the central switching, the traffic is going to the control traffic, right? As the data traffic, as you can see, it is going to the WLC and then it is getting switched to the wired network. So that is the difference. So how central switching differs from local mode? So the central switching, like if you have, so what's the benefit of this Flex Connect setup is like you will get centralized traffic control. Okay. And all client traffic is tunneled to the WLC in central switching. That is correct. That is similar to what local mode is offering. But it will get the benefit of the Flex Connect. So what is the main benefit of the Flex Connect? That is when the WLC is down, the access point will still operate. Okay, the access point will still operate. Then what is the use when it is not able to send the data traffic, because the data traffic has to be treated by the WLC, right? So the WLC. So in those kind of situations, you can put a policy saying that the specific WLAN traffic has to be mapped with the VLAN traffic. So like that you can do, and also you will get better security and roaming support will be there. So those are the ones that differ. Like when you configure it, you will know more. But Flex Connect central switching and local mode, so they are the same in working, but benefit is more when you got the central Flex Connect central switching compared to local mode. Okay. I hope you got that answer. So let us just to summarize. So we have discussed two modes, that is local mode and FlexConnect mode. So in the FlexConnect mode, we got two kinds of switching: local switching, central switching. In the local switching, the data traffic switch locally from the AP itself. In the central switching, you can switch the traffic. You can switch the traffic from the WLC itself. Then you got few people got a question: what is the difference between the local mode and the central switching mode? I will give one example to that. See, in the local mode, right? In the local mode here, this is the access point, SSID. Oh, sorry, this is switch I have given. This is the access point. This is the WLC. Suppose in the local mode, what happens? Okay, in the local mode. In the local mode, suppose it has to contact the DHCP server, okay, or for any network services. So um, you can do central authentication or the local authentication. Okay, there is authentication you can do. Central DHCP or local DHCP you can do. Data traffic you can switch locally or centrally you can do. That option you can do like local or switch central of these services, right? Local or central services you can do when you configure the access point as a FlexConnect. But when you configure it as a local mode, so you don't get this flexibility. Okay. Now it is up to you as a wireless engineer whether you configure the data traffic as a local switching or a central switching. But still you got the flexibility to do authentication locally or centrally, or whether the IP address should be like DHCP should be local or central, that flexibility you get. But if you configure FlexConnect as a central switching, then you can switch the traffic centrally. If it is local switching, it will be locally switched. But these are, again, you can, if you have a central switching also, then you can route the traffic from the AP itself for the authentication and the DHCP thing. So what is the benefit of that? So in those kind of scenarios, the access point will still be intact. I mean, the SSID outage will not happen. But if you take the local mode, it is completely dependent on the WLC. If it is down, it is down. Okay. So that is the benefit of the FlexConnect, that you get a little extra edge over the local mode. Functionality wise, they are the same, no doubt. The data traffic and the control traffic is treated by the WLC, same. But it gets the central switching has an extra edge where it gets the flexibility of the FlexConnect mode. FlexConnect mode, yeah. So that you will understand while configuring stuff, okay? But on a high level, that is what the difference is. So when the WLCR data center is down, the AP is, so there is one more question from Derek. So when the WLCR data center is down, the remote office is using local switching mode. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, data center is down. That is the use case of the FlexConnect. Yeah. There is one more from Ramamurthy. Can we have a WLC remotely working in FlexConnect mode? Remotely in, yeah, that works in remotely only. Like, can we have a WLC remotely working in FlexConnect mode? What I understand from this question is, can we have a WLC remotely working in FlexConnect mode? What do you mean by remotely? Instead of an AP, a WLC is working in place in FlexConnect mode. A WLC in place working in FlexConnect mode. I mean, instead of an AP, no, that is not possible, right? So the concept itself is like, you got a WLC here, you have a WLC, then you got an access point. Whether this access point sending the traffic to the WLC or not, depending on that only, the switching modes are there, two switching modes, local or central switching. So that's a very straightforward concept. That's it. whether the data traffic, right, it is treated locally or centrally. Depending on that only you got two. Flex Connect is for AP, not for WLC. Okay, so that is what he asked. Oh, whether so the AP modes, right? So AP modes is, this is the AP mode that we are talking about. AP mode. Okay, we are talking about what? The AP mode. So how a access point can be configured, whether it can be configured as a local mode, that is a default, where both the data and data traffic and the control traffic is going to the WLC, whereas in the Flex Connect mode, if we make this access point as a Flex Connect mode, then it will work in a local switching or central switching mode. Okay, I hope you got that concept. There is one more question. If WLC is down, so for how long AP can operate independently without WLC, and what will happen to a new client if they needs to connect? Yeah. So this is a great question. So what happens if the WLC is down here? The access point, we got access point, WLC, the client. So now in case if the WLC is down, so the question is how long it can be down. Okay. It can be down for long, so there is no problem with that. Okay, so there is no estimated time as this much only it needs to be down, or it will not come up after some time. So it will be down. It can operate as long as the AP is up. So the next question is, um, what is the next question? What will happen to the new clients? Okay, new clients, what will happen? So the answer is with you only. If you remember the discovery process, right? I think in the client discovery process, when the client starts to connect, right? When the client starts to connect, so obviously he has to get the IP address. He has to get he has to go through the discovery process again. I mean, on the client's perspective, not the access point discovery process, the client discovery process. So client, it will try to connect to the SSID. First thing is it will get the IP address. Second thing is it will authenticate, right? So who is going to authenticate? Who is going to get the IP address? How the client knows what IP address it needs to get? So that is through the WLC. If the DHCP is centrally defined, suppose if you define DHCP locally, then the access point itself will send the DHCP request to the network. Then it needs to get authenticated. For getting authenticated, obviously central authentication you can define, local authentication you can define. In the local authentication, when you define, the access point only will send the traffic to the authentication to the local ICE server that you have defined. Okay, so this particular configuration you do it on the FlexConnect group that I will show. Okay, local authentication, when you do local authentication, what will happen is the WLC, when you configure the local authentication, it will send the configuration to the access point. Boss, if any authentication request comes, then I am down, send the authentication, you only send the authentication. So that kind of arrangement will happen. Okay, so that is the edge between the local mode and the central switching mode. Okay, you asked the question, right? What is the difference? So the data traffic will still go through the WLC. You can design it, but the authentication and the IP address you can send locally also. Okay. Then what is the benefit of it? It will just connect. Then what about the WLC? So those things will happen. But again, so after this, getting the IP address, authentication, this database, right? So WLC will update the client's information into its database, that this particular client one is coming from AP1. So this will be updated into the database. Whether that update will happen? No, it will not happen because the WLC is down. Whether that will happen once the WLC comes up? Yes, it will happen after the WLC comes up. But by that time, will it operate, or will it be able to send the data? So that will not happen. So that's why the new clients will not be registered. Okay. So I think that should be it. You got it like so the client diagram, right? So the client registration is simple. There is no rocket science. So when you are doing it in lab, right, open a Wireshark, or else when I am doing it, I will open a Wireshark and I will show you what all things will happen. The DORA process will happen, the authentication will happen, then it will connect to the WLC. WLC will add the client information into the client database and all. So that is the flow. It is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think enough of talking. Let's go to the lab and I will just walk you through the configuration, what all things are there. Come on. Okay, so we discussed FlexConnect. I hope you understood that FlexConnect. Now let's do the FlexConnect on the 3504. Okay, before jumping into the FlexConnect configuration, before jumping there, so I want to introduce you to few of the configurations that are specifically present in the 3504. Okay, 3504. Just to refresh your memory about the 3504 configuration. Okay, 3504 configuration. So how do we attach, how do we bridge between the WLAN to a VLAN? Okay, just remember the difference, how you do this in WLAN to VLAN mapping in 3504 and 9800. Okay, so in the 9800, you got something called as policy tag, correct? In that policy tag, you are going to put WLAN profile and the policy profile. That is how you are going to use. So here you are going to have the VLAN ID. Here you are going to have the VLAN. Oh, sorry, WLAN ID. And here you will have the VLAN. So that is how you are matching in the 9800. In the 3504, how I am going to achieve that? That is, I create a WLAN, then I attach an interface to that, and this particular interface has got the VLAN into it and also the physical port into it. Okay, this is the flow for WLAN to VLAN bridging that we are going to do in both the products. Okay, simple. So now I will just show you this configuration which I talked about. Previously also I have shown, but for your refreshment, I will just show this configuration. Then I will introduce you to one more thing that is called as AP group. What is this AP group? AP group is nothing but, for example, I take like this. I got a VLAN, WLAN that is 10. Sorry, WLAN ID. Okay, WLAN ID that is wireless 10. And I need to map it to the VLAN 10. Okay, and I got a office and I got employees in this particular branch office. I got IT people, I got HR people, I got marketing people. Now these guys are getting WLAN 10. The SSID name is IT. So IT people can connect to that and their VLAN is 10. Now the same access point, it is a single access point, right? The same access point the same access point has to broadcast the HR WLAN also, right? The same access point. So the HR WLAN, I will keep it as 20 and the VLAN that it is going to bridge is 20. So the same access point, how it is going to how is it going to send different SSIDs to different group of users, right? So that is one thing. Second one is like you got multiple access points, access point 1, access point 2, access point 3. Okay, these are all controlled by whom? That is the WLCA. Okay, WLCA we got. This is the WLCA. I think the picture is little bit messy. I will write it properly. So we are discussing about the AP group. Okay, what is the use of the AP group? We got multiple access points. Controlled by a central WLC. maybe HA is enabled. Now this access point is going to broadcast the SSID, that is IT. That SSID name is IT and the WLAN ID is 10. That WLAN ID is bridging to the wired network on VLAN 10. Okay, VLAN 10. So now this SSID that is IT. So it needs to be broadcast in the other floors also. This is maybe the access point is in floor 1, this is in floor 2, this is in floor 3. Now the same SSID has to be broadcasted from all the 3 access points, right? And also the same 3 access point also needs to broadcast HR. They need to broadcast maybe the marketing. So marketing people connect to this SSID, different SSIDs configured, different SSIDs like this, different SSIDs. And all these SSIDs has to be broadcasted from all the 3 access points. So in those kind of situations, you configure something called as AP group. Okay. And in these AP groups, you will assign the WLAN. When you assign the WLAN, so they are going to broadcast these. Okay. So that is how you are going to work out in this situation where you want to broadcast you want to broadcast a single SSIDs onto multiple access points. Then you use something called as AP group. So this is not only the benefit of having the AP group, but other features you can club it together and put it into the AP group. So AP group acts as a template. What all it got, we will see it now. But this is one of the use case where you got a WLAN and you want to spread it across your wireless LAN architecture through the access points. Then you push that information through the AP group. You just simply add the WLAN into the AP group. Okay, that is what the function of the AP group. So first we will go through the WLAN to VLAN mapping, how it is done, bridging, how it is done. Then we configure the AP group. This concept I will show. Okay. Then I will register a client and I will show you how it works in the 3504. So then we will see both the switching modes, switching mode, local switching mode and the central switching mode. I hope you're aligned with this. So let's go to the lab and just log in. Yeah, this is our 3504. Okay, there's a question because this is interview question is most important, most asked. Oh, this is an important question. Okay. The AP group is more like relay of the WLAN. Okay. Correct me if I am wrong. In local mode, MAC address or client is learning. What is it? On WLC port, and in flex mode, MAC address of client is learned. Uh, Learned at AP port. Local mode, MAC address of client is learned on WLC port. And in FlexConnect mode, the MAC address of the client. Yeah, this is the correct one. This is correct. Yes. So this is the WLAN. You go to the WLAN. Admin send friend at 1234. Sorry, send friend at 1234. And what happened to this admin? Okay. So we got some WLANs. I will, for your refreshing your concept, I will just create one. Okay. I will go to create one and I will say a WLAN. I will say FlexConnect. Well, first we will do central switching. So I will say central switching and SSID is same, obviously. Apply. And then interface group. We'll come to that. Just apply it for now. And we need to make sure that this is enabled. This is one thing in 3504. I'm not sure, like 3504, it is kind of going now, but still organizations are using it. Okay. Let's see what is the end of life is already met. Okay. 3504 EOL. I think the hardware support is by uh, what is that? Still it is supported till hardware support is there till 2027. Service contract is till 2026. Still the last date to extend renew service contract. There are no new patches that are going to release. That's the last patch. End of new service attachment hardware. So it is gone at 2023. So the replacement is 9800L. Okay. Okay. Let's not debate. So we have created a WLAN. So let's go back. I will create one more for the local switching. Okay. Local switching. Local switching. Okay. So then I just use this. So now I created a WLAN as per our analogy here. I think that is, I have removed it. Okay. So WLAN connecting to interface, then connecting to interface, connecting to VLAN, and then also port, right? Port, the physical port. And what is the command? Show interface summary, show port summary. Okay, in the CLI. So interface in the WLAN, I'm putting management. Okay, what this management interface is doing, how to check? So we need to go to controller, then we need to go to the interfaces. So here you can see the management interface. Okay, these are the logical interface. These are static interfaces and got dynamic interfaces. These are the dynamic ones that you create. Okay, these logical, sorry, static you cannot delete, but dynamic is the one that you created that you can delete it. This we have discussed in the previous session. So management, so just click on it. So this is the interface. This is used for sending the management traffic, but now I will send the data traffic as well on the same management. Okay. So this one is bridged to port. So that is what, like WLAN, we have attached the interface that is management. Management got the VLAN and also the port through which it needs to go out. Okay. How many ports we got? So if I go to monitor, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the port 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. So 1 is the management port we are using. Okay, not this one. We are using this one. Okay, that is how the mapping will happen. I hope you understand this. The next part is to configure the AP group that we need to go to the wireless and then, we need to go to the WLAN and advanced and AP group. From here, we need to configure the AP group. So we will configure the AP group and then assign the WLANs that we created, right? So that one, Flex Connect AP group, Flex Connect AP group. So here we need to add the WLANs, which I was talking about. Okay. Then we got the RF profiles, APs. We can add associate WLANs and access point into the FlexConnect group. That is how the binding happens. Okay. So now the concept that I was explaining is multiple APs sending the same WLAN. Suppose if you go walk into the floor, right? Floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. In every floor, you are getting the same SSID, that is HR or IT. So that is the concept. Okay. So here you put all the access points and then you associate the WLANs. So all the access point has got the same VLANs, WLANs. Okay. So that's how you attach. And also the RF profiles, you can keep it same. Then other location ports and modules. So all these things you can do. So that I will explain in tomorrow's session. We can continue and we can configure the local switching and central switching. Okay. So once we do that, if I get access to the ESXi, I should get it. So then I will continue with the HA and I will show the HA there. Okay. Okay, we'll stop here for today. We can continue tomorrow. I hope you had a great learning today. So just go through the recording once. If you have any questions, please post it in WhatsApp so we can do some brainstorming and learn. Okay. ITSSID map to VLAN ID, floor to IT map to VLAN 20. Yeah, that is very well possible. Okay, that is possible. You can achieve it through some way. Yeah, but it is possible. Okay, I will continue in tomorrow's session. So we can meet tomorrow. Tomorrow we can do more interesting things. Yeah. Once the Flex Connect is done, right, and HA is done, Flex Connect is done, and then mobility we will do. So after that, you can start accessing the lab. Okay, you can request the lab access and you can access that. Okay, now, thank you. Have a nice day ahead. Bye.